Hey, thank you for taking the time to click on today's video. So today we're going to be discussing a question that I get all the time from clients, which is, Matthew, how much money should I keep in the bank? How much is too much? How much is not enough? And again, your mileage may vary. I want to be so respectful of what you personally believe is enough to have in the bank. But let me give you just a little bit of background about me as a fiduciary. Obviously, I work with a broad array of people. I specialize in creating income for retirees. In other words, helping them take what they've accumulated and saved during their working years, and then I help them do two things. I help them take and reduce the risk on that money, and I help that money then produce real income for them that they can spend without hurting their principal. In other words, real income through interest, through dividends. And you see, if we maintain keeping our principal intact and we live off from what that principal is producing for interest and dividends, then we never have to worry about running out of principal. Now, the problem is that we have a very interesting environment, and it's been this way for, well, actually the last 2 decades. We have seen interest rates that have gone to next to nothing within our bank accounts, and yet I've seen the opposite when it comes to the amount of money that's in the bank. I've seen the money in the bank continue to accumulate, and the reason that I believe this is true for so many people is one of 2 reasons. One, they've got a lot of money in the bank because they've got some projects that they want to be able to pay for. Maybe they want to be able to remodel the kitchen. Maybe they are going to be, marrying one of their daughters off and they need money for the wedding for their daughter. There could be a number of reasons, financial reasons, that they need that cash because they're going to need to part with it soon. The second, and I would say more prevalent reason, is that they've got the money in the bank because it's safe and they really hate the amount of interest that they're getting on the money, or the lack of interest that they're getting on the money, but they don't know what else to do with it. No one has ever shown them some quality, reasonable areas that they can invest this money and get this money working harder for them. But I want to deal with money hoarders. And what I mean by that is, and I say this in all due respect, but it really is the phrase, Matthew, I just cannot live unless I have $200,000 of money in the bank. It just makes me feel so good. Now, I respect that. I really do. But when you consider the economics of having money in the bank, and you consider today we're living in a high inflationary environment. We got 9% plus in inflation, and yet we're making like 0.02% in the bank. It's going the wrong direction for so many people. And the reality is that the bank loves it. The bank loves it because today they're taking and they're loaning money to Jose for a car loan, and they're charging him 7%, 8% for that loan. But guess whose money they're using? They're using your money. They're using my money. So as a rule of thumb, aside from any projects that we would need money for that we always want to earmark and make certain we have the liquidity, I try to maintain with my clients that I want them to have, on average, around $20,000 to $25,000 of money in the bank. Now, your heart might have skipped a beat. You might have some heart palpitations right now going, oh man, there's no way that you could get me to have $25,000 in the bank and feel comfortable with that. But I'd like to share just a couple of thoughts with you that may be helpful to you. You see, let's just kind of consider one of the worst days of your life. Okay, let's say that you woke up one morning, you took your shower, you got dressed, and you're on your way to have coffee with some of your friends. And on the way to having coffee with your friends, you ended up taking and wrecking your car. Okay, so the car is no bueno. The car is no longer functional. You've wrecked your car. And because of the accident, you ended up being taken to the hospital just for observation. Maybe you're in there for a day just to make certain you're okay. And so we basically have the hospital, there we go. Now I can spell. Hospital. And you're in the hospital and you're there for observation. And all of a sudden, while you're in the hospital, guess what? Your neighbor calls, and the neighbor says, hey, I have some terrible news. While you're in the hospital, there was a terrible windstorm, and there was a huge branch in the backyard in your tree that fell on your house, and your roof is damaged. And so now the roof on the house is really no bueno, okay? Now let's just think about this. The reason that human beings keep money in the bank is because we love to have accessibility to the money. And that's just a human need. That's just something that we all want. But when we think about the big things in life, when people tell me, well, I'm keeping the money in the bank because, Matthew, you just never know. I want you to think about something. Many of the big things that we have in our life are protected and covered by insurance. So let's go back to the car. Do you have automobile coverage? Well, yes, I do. Well, you have this thing called a deductible. How much is your deductible? Let's just say that your deductible is $1,000. That's pretty common today. Now, you're in the hospital. Do you have health insurance? Now, if you're under the age of 65, you're not on Medicare, chances are you do have under age 65 health insurance and you're going to have a deductible. And let's just say that that deductible is $1,000. And for you, it could vary. It could be $2,000, $2,500, it could be $5,000 if you got a high deductible plan. If you're over the age of 65 and you have a Medicare supplement, chances are you may not even have a deductible at all. But let's say that you do. Now, what about this tree? This is a big issue, right? And while you're in the hospital, your car's at the body shop and your body's at the body shop. Now you've got this house that's got now damage because of the tree. Let me ask you, do you have homeowners insurance? And I bet you the answer is yes. So that means that you have a deductible and you have $1,000. So you see, when we think about the big catastrophic things in life, most of us could probably get by with way less than, say, just $25,000. But $25,000 seems to be an adequate amount. This way, if you need to put tires in the car, you need to be able to, say, take and put some shingles on the house, maybe a couple of windows, maybe you want to go on a quickie vacation, you've got the cash to do it. Anything above $25,000 is what I refer to as working capital that's not working. Because here is the reality. If inflation is truly at 9%, if truly the things in life are now 9% more expensive than they were a year ago, what does that mean? That means that for every $100,000 that we have in the bank, we are essentially losing $9,000 every single year. Do the math. Do the math on that and realize that every single month the bank is losing you money. What is the alternative? Well, the alternative is that if you're concerned about safety, there is plenty of insured investments that exist in the world today that are making 3, 4, 5% in interest. They're insured against loss. They're able to provide you compounding interest. And if you're just concerned about liquidity, but you want more output from your money, there is a universe of income generating investments, things that are able to provide you 5, 6, even 7% in interest and dividends. So when it comes to your bank money, remember, the more is not better. Less is more, because that allows you to take your working capital, put it to work for you, get it earning interest and dividends. This is how you're able to actually pace with inflation, keep up with inflation, so that you don't end up having one of those worst nightmare scenarios where you end up running out of money before you run out of life. I'm Matthew Johnson. I hope you enjoyed this little video. Maybe it gave you a little bit of an education and caused you to think in ways that maybe you haven't thought about with your money. I encourage you to share this with your friends. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. We always appreciate that. And if you want to be reminded every time we have a video, click on that subscribe button over here, push that little bell, and we'll let you know each time we have a video. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, it's up to you to make today a great day.